2 nights ago, Democrats swept a number of elections across the United States. None bigger, of course, than the election of Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani.
The name is Mamdani, M-A-M-D-A-N,
as the mayor of New York City. And while there's a number of important lessons here, I think it's quite possible the Democrats walk away with entirely the wrong ones. Mamdani's victory confirms what progressives have been saying for a long time and hoping to see a real-world example of, which is that if you are a politician on the left, you don't have to go to the center to be taken seriously and to win elections. Mamdani ran quite transparently on democratic socialist policies, and he won. He won with historic voter turnout, and he won some important demographics. Over 3/4 of young voters in New York City voted for Mamdani. If you've been following demographics, you know that young voters, particularly young men in this generation, have been often voting on the right. But I think the takeaway here is that young voters are less concerned with party allegiances than older voters are, and are more so looking for candidates they actually believe in. Mamdani gave that to them, giving policies that they thought might actually improve their lives. This is a stark difference from federal Democrats who largely define themselves by being not Trump, while parroting a lot of the same policy points. Mamdani had an uphill battle, first to even win the Democratic nomination over established politician Andrew Cuomo, but then to overcome tens of millions of dollars that had been spent on attack ads and other ways to try and stop his campaign by rich New Yorkers and other political donors. It wasn't just tech billionaires and donors for the opposition that were trying to sabotage Mamdani, it was members of the Democratic Party as well. Mamdani does not cater to the billionaires, and those billionaires represent most of the donations that the Democratic Party gets. But there's something really important about Mamdani's campaign that we need to look at. Back in September, Mamdani actually asked people in New York City to stop sending him money because they had already received the maximum that they could spend. And if we look at this chart, it shows donations by dollar amount. The blue is small donations from $1 to $175. As you can see, Mamdani's blue bar massively outranks anybody else. This is of course called a grassroots movement. You do not necessarily need the donations of the billionaires if people actually like your candidate. But I feel quite confident that Democrats will take away from this big night of election wins that Mamdani's win was a fluke, it had something specifically to do with New York City, and that people are finally coming back to their senses after having been sucked in by Trumpism. But even if the Democrats themselves don't take away that lesson, voters can. Despite the money and the power that the 1% have, there are a lot more of us than there are of them. And Mamdani's victory shows that in a democracy, that still matters.